Okay. The Meshech Megillah says the parak test pasuk you test. Alkena Yudi Maprozim B'chulei Osim Chulei Yom Tov. The Jews who live in the unwalled cities, they make Purim on Yudalid. They make it Mishteh B'Simcha. They make it a party, happiness, and a Yom Tov. Um, so the question is, it's not a Yom Tov. What do you mean it's a Yom Tov? Yom Tov means you're not allowed to go do Malacha, except for Malacha Sochel Nefesh. But on Purim, we do Malacha, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that's a Yom Tov. So it came into Amra, Osam Malacha Purim. Well, let me skip. Ruach Kodesh Omer L'Dorashu Osim Zal Yom Tov. So the answer says in Meshech Chochmo, it's not that Esther said they have to make it a Yom Tov. It says Yudim Prazim, the people who live in the cities outside, which are not walled, will make it a Yom Tov. In other words, not that we're making it takana that it has to be Yom Tov. It doesn't have to be Yom Tov, but it's a prediction that Ruach HaKodesh, that the Holy Spirit with which the Megillah it was written, was making, that the Jews will keep it like a Yom Tov. What does it mean they're going to keep it like a Yom Tov? The Cambridge Amru, since they said, Ha'osa Malacha B'Purim Ein Hara Siman Bracha. It says if somebody goes to work on Purim, it does work on Purim, he doesn't get any blessing in that work. In other words, evidently that work is not going to give him any gain. Anything he gains by that work on Purim, he's going to lose in some way because it's not appropriate to go to work on Purim. They didn't want to make it zero. They didn't make it forbidden. But they said, as a matter of fact, that doing Malach on Purim is a bad thing. We're not going to forbid it, but it's not good. The person has a sensibility to Purim, so then they're not going to do work on Purim. And
Okay, but let's say that he's gonna get fired though.
So he's allowed to, because he's allowed to go to work because he's not doesn't have to get himself fired. But the idea is that most people, if they have a choice, will refrain, and that's part of it. They didn't want to make a zera that people can't go to work because it might cause all sorts of difficulties, especially if people are on Golus and there are enough holidays the Jews take off not to work. So therefore, they're not going to make Purim a day which you have to take off from work. But still, it was a day which was assumed that most people will not go to work. They can avoid it at all. So you can't, because since it says nobody's going people go to work and not going to see it, bracha. Okay, me Pessy, who's a fool, Yasem Balacha, who's going to work, B'yom Sheni Yasem Bracha on a day which is not going to see him bracha. Anyway, the money makes this day is not going to get a benefit from. So therefore, why would he ever go to work? So Yudoros Yontif. So that's what they make it for. They'll make for all generations of Yontif. And that's why, of course, even though people don't, it's not a strict letter of the law that people have to wear Yom Tov or Shabbos clothing on Purim, assuming they're not dressing up. Nevertheless, it is a widespread custom that people wear Shabbos clothes on Purim. Again, not because they're required to do so. It's like Hanukkah, you're not required to do so. But people do it because they sense that Purim is a special kind of day without having it made a gzera, having it made a decree. I should note that the Hasidim on Purim and even on Shushan Purim, they wear their strimals and bekashav, they wear their Yom Tov clothing. So, but also that it's not required. It's a minhag which wasn't required by Mordechai and Esther when they made Yom Tov Purim. It's a minhag which grew in Klal Yisrael on its own. Okay, so he says. And it's brought down that the entire Megillah Esther is written Baruch HaKodesh. How do we know? Because it says there's a prediction in Megillah Esther. It says that the memory of the days of Purim will never go away from the descendants of Am Yisrael. They'll always remember Purim. And there's the famous Rashba, which he quotes here. Rashba is one of the Rishonim. Moshe Kasav B'Chuta Rashba, like the Chusa Rashba writes, there was never a decree not to keep Purim. It's an interesting idea. Listen, the Rashba is very holy. He says that that's the case. Maybe it's indeed the case. I don't know that anybody's made a study to see if there have been decrees not to keep Purim. But he's saying that the idea is when it says Zichron Lo Yosef B'Zaram in the Megillah, it's not a law. It's not a decree. It's not something which they imposed. It's a prediction. And the prediction is based on the fact, or emerges from the fact, that Megillas Esther was stated Baruch HaKodesh. So therefore, there's nevuah in anything in Megillas Esther. So therefore, it says nevuah in it. When it says Zichron Lo Yosef Mitzrayim, it's a prediction. It's a prediction, prophetic prediction that the days of Purim are never going to stop. The way I remember the Rashba was slightly differently, and it could be I just misremembered. But the way I remember the Rashba says that even the Dor Shel Shmat, even generation, there's a lot of persecution, the Jews will still manage somehow to keep Purim. It's even though there's the type of persecution which might not allow them to keep Shabbos, because the non-Jews are going to check to make sure they're working on Shabbos or whatever else they want to do. But Purim, they'll always manage somehow to keep. But in any event, so the idea is that Purim, the eternity of Purim, is not guaranteed in halacha. It's predicted by the Megillah. So too when it says, that's Meshech is saying, when it says they're going to make it a Yom Tov, it's not a decree. Because if it was a decree, then there'll be a special halacha. You can't do malacha altogether. But it's a prediction that people now want to go do malacha on Purim because they know that there's no simon bracha.
But we do a lot of malacha on Purim.
What?
Like nowadays, we do a lot of halacha.
Most malacha here means going to work, specifically. The malacha, we're not talking malachas which you do at home in order to prepare the Suda or to entertain yourself. That type of malacha, it's kind of like, in a sense, it's like Chol HaMoed, right? Chol HaMoed, most of the things you do on Chol HaMoed are mutter because they have l'tzorach yontif, right? There are very few things that are actually usher, but those things are usher, things that are not l'tzorach yontif. On Chol HaMoed, a lot of people also don't go to work because it's like a yontif, because partial yontif. So too says the Meshech Chochmo. At Purim, people treat like Chol HaMoed by themselves, not because it was the decree that they had to do it. And the Megillah is telling you, you know what? Even though we're not going to decree that it's supposed to be Yom Tov, people are going to conduct themselves as if it's a Yom Tov. Got it?
Yeah.
So that's what he's saying. The person saying, osim, not that they must do it, right? It doesn't say they must make it a Yom Tov. It says they make it a Yom Tov. It's not a command. It's a statement. This is the way it's going to be. You got that difference?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the truth is, he says, "V'da, the Gemara in Megillah Daf Hey, the Megillah in Megillah Shaka the Torah in Purim Asur b'Malacha." In the Gemara itself, in Maseches Megillah, there's a discussion if you're allowed to do Malacha on Purim or not. It's actually discussed, and we go like Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Well, there is no Isra Malacha on Purim. You're allowed to do Malacha. But, meaning, here is what I'm talking about is Malacha of, like Malacha Shabbos and Malacha Yom Tov. Not work, but the actual Lamates Malachos. So, Yerushalmi Maksheh, Yerushalmi asks, how could it possibly be that you can say that Purim you're not allowed to do Malacha? The Mehak from that, that's now it says, Darshu Magia, Daya Kosva, Katani. So it says, if you're learning the Megillah, and you are at the same time correcting it because you find errors, so that's right that you're allowed to do it, and you're allowed to write the Megillah on Purim. So how can you say possibly Purim is Asur b'Malacha if you're allowed to write a Megillah? Right? Writing is one of the 39 Avos Malachos, which are Asur on Shabbos and Yom Tov.
Right.
So it must be that, the Gemara says, must be that there is no Isser on writing on Purim. Must be there's no Isser Malach on Purim, right?
Okay, but who's writing a Megillah on Purim?
So it says right, Meir, he didn't have a Megillah. So he wrote 2 Megillahs. First he wrote one, and then you now have to write a Megillah from your memory. You have to write it from another Megillah, which is without copying. So he wrote one from memory, and then he wrote another one copying the first one. Now, obviously, the reason he did this on Purim is because he didn't have a Megillah. And so he had to write 2. First, he had to write one from memory, and then write another one not from memory. That's the situation where you don't have a Megillah, you can write a Megillah. Now, you and I, and most people can't memorize the entire Megillah like Ray Meir did, but Ray Meir was able to do that, and therefore was able to write it on Purim when he had a necessity to do so.
Right.
Okay, so the one answers you understand the Mashani. You see that answers the Nekrachim Akdim the cross B'Yadal Shekaltes Rabbi Shabbos. It's talking about when you're in a city, in a city like Shushan, where normally they read on Tetzvav, and normally they read on 15th of Adar, but that year the 15th of Adar came out on Shabbos. So therefore, they were reading Megillah when the 15th of Adar comes on Shabbos, reading Megillah on the 14th day of Adar, even in Shushan, even places which normally keep Shushan. So they say, okay, that's the answer. How could he possibly, according to people, which holds that Purim is also doing Malacha, how could he possibly writing Megillah Purim? Very simple. You're writing Megillah, you're in a city where the Isser Malacha, the prohibition of Malacha, would be on the 15th day of Adar, because it's like in Shushan Purim. And you're writing it on the 14th day of Adar, which is the day in which you read the Megillah. So if there's no Malacha involved, it's no Isser Malacha for you. If it was that somebody who lived in the city which kept you Daled, there would be an Isser Malach for him to write the Megillah on Purim, on Yudalit. We're talking about a person in the city where Purim is on Tesvav, and the 15th. And there's only a special look, you have to be a day early, because you don't read the Megillah on Shabbos. And that was saying that, okay, in that case, he should be allowed to write it, even though it's normally also Malacha, because he's writing on Yudalit, which for him, because he's from a Shushan Purim city, is not yet the young. You got that?
Yeah, but let's say he was living in a place where they did the 15th day for him. Then he, like, let's say comes here, or comes to somewhere not walled. Does he still keep the 15th day of Purim, or the?
Depends what he has. He usually has to keep both.
Okay.
Okay.
But does he have to lay in Megillah 4 times?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. There's Gemara says, Poros ben Yomo Ikri Poros and Muka ben Yomo Mikri Muka. If you come to a city which has a wall, on that day you become a member of that city. Next day you go to a city which has a wall, become a member of that city.
Okay.
I messed up on this once. Meaning when I was Bacher in Yeshiva, I was outside Yerushalayim for Yudalit, and I came into to Yerushalayim on the night of the 15th. And I didn't hear Megillah till the next morning. I should have. I don't know how I would have done it, because I didn't have a Megillah, but I really was mechuyev to hear Megillah that night when I came into Yerushalayim on the 15th. Because yes, when you go to another city, then you have to read Megillah according to that city. So yeah, in theory, you come out having to read 4 times the Megillah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So the one says say about the Lamashai before Makdimi. So the question is, why does it say? There's another answer Gemara could give. Gemara could say about where somebody's reading it early, because halacha is we don't do this with Manaseh. But the halacha used to be that you could actually say read the Megillah early, if you won't be able to get a minyan on Purim itself. You read the Megillah on the 11th day of the Adar, the 12th or the 13th day of Adar. Question whether you need a minyan on that day or don't need a minyan on that day, but you don't. The Gemara says you could read it earlier, right? So why not give that answer? Say why? How can you? The question is how can you be writing a Megillah on Purim, and Purim's also Malacha? No, it's like about one of the people in one of the villages where they read early. They read on the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th, and that's even though they read early, it's not a day which is also Malacha. That's a day which they can be writing the Megillah and then reading it afterwards.
Right.
Right? So, so the halacha mishum about halacha gimel kamar, because the Rambam says shalom bismano. If you're reading a Megillah on the 11th, the 12th, or the 13th, it's may occurring by people who live in villages outside the major cities. Hamakdimim do it early, but dafka so I need specifically 10 people. You can't do it as an individual. Only be Yotze Megillah as individual on Yudal in normal cities or Tesvav in walled cities. You can't be Yotze as an individual any other day. If you're at Tzibor, a community, so community can be Yotze other days as well. But not right? You get Echatani Magia and keeping Libo Yotza. Therefore, if you need 10 people, what does it mean? If you are Magia, if you're fixing a Megillah, and you had in mind that we should Yotze that way, you're Yotze. Right? It sounds like you're doing private. You can't be talking about on 11th, 12th, or 13th, because on those days you have to do it in public.
Right.
That language of you're reading it and fixing it doesn't make sense.
Right.
All right. About Talmud and Lo Maksha. So why didn't Arkmar ask that question altogether? Right? Doesn't why is that the question that you're sorry you have approved? So that's Ushalmi's answer. Ushalmi's saying that it's not talking about it's not right that Purim is mutar b'malacha. It's about where he read it. He was doing it on the 14th, even though he was the 15th. Why is it Arkmar asked the question? Tell me, Lamak ever Shabbat come out there. Perhaps like the drush and says, "Sudasha asab alayla yo yotzei de chavasa." Says now, did you know right now yotzi the Purim suit to make it the night of Purim? Purim says made specifically during the day of Purim, not at night of Purim. Know that?
No.
What?
No, I didn't learn that.
If you just made Purim suit and Motzei Shabbos this year, you wouldn't be yotzei. That's made during the day of Purim.
Okay.
So the my time of why you may days of right? Days of party, not nights of party. Yontov Nami Dafka Yome Kai. So could be, he says, you know what? Even if they would have made a Yontov, only the day would have been a Yontov, not the night. Because, okay, so that, so that's obviously the entire time between the first day of Yontov, the last time Yontov is one long time. That wouldn't differentiate between night and day. But it could be that even if they held that it's a yontif, only since it says you may simcha, and then we learn from that just the suda must be during the day. Maybe only the day would be a day of yontif, not the night before. And then by night it would not be asu malacha. The time of Kai, and this is the case over there where he was writing the Megillah. That was at night. Or therefore, it's not a right. We have no question. The question was, the fact you write to me the proves you do malacha on Purim and Sayontev. No, because it could be talking about at night, and at night there is no, maybe there were no nothing of Isra malacha anyway. It would only be during the day. So you know I just have to go to Marvin in a couple minutes, but halacha as we keep it today is that we start the Purim Suda during the day and we end it at night.
Right.
We started during the day because it says you may Mishnah B'Simcha. Then during the night to include Shushan Purim. And obviously there is an idea of Simcha at night as well. But the main Simcha is supposed to be going from Purim into Shushan Purim, not the night before on the night of Shabbos this year, but rather this year going from Sunday into Monday. And that's because you're always supposed to, the idea in Purim is to take a little bit of the Simcha with you. The Ramah says at the end of last halacha or Achaim, he says, you should be Sameach on Shushan Purim a little bit, even though it's not really yontif for us. And Tov Lev Mishta Tamid, somebody has a good heart, he's always in a state of party. Whereas if you have the idea of having a good heart, which you tell us about taking Purim, is that I'm B'Simcha all the time. Not just on Purim itself. Purim is the time when we focus on it, but it's got to remain afterwards. So then you become a Tov Lev on Purim, and then you're always in a state of partying, not physical partying, literally, but in a mental state of partying.
Right.
So that's even though Chazal didn't make it us a yontif, which is us a b'malacha, Mordechai Esther didn't decree that. Nevertheless, a person is supposed to have a sense. This is the Purim is special. And that's why I was always very makbid with my kids until they actually no longer would listen to me anymore, and they should wear Shabbos clothing on Purim. If wear a costume, it's something else. But Shabbos clothing, because Shabbos clothing shows that you have a chashivas for the day. You know that this is like you intuitively, like they said before, this is a day of happiness, a day of simcha, a day which is chashiv. So we shall be zoicha this year. Purim, a day which we feel kedusha, a day which we feel that it's kadosh, and a day in which we keep it the proper way, including making sure, if not wearing a costume, to get dressed in Shabbos clothes.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Chesko, have a good Shabbos and a great have an easy fast. You fasting all day tomorrow?
Probably.
Okay, good luck. It's long in Orlando. Okay. Get up early before the fast to eat. Okay, have an easy fast. I'll be in touch.
Okay.
Okay. Have a good night. Bye.
Good night.
I'm gonna put it up tonight, Mr. Shem.